Hey, my fusion kids! We are back. Before I get going, I want to let y'all know Miss Alliette and possibly some other folks might be dropping off some survival kits. So be on the lookout. There might be a survival kit on your doorknob in the near future. Or it might just be a hazmat bag. But probably not. It'll be a survival kit. So I'm going to take these off so that I can better see you in the wonderful land of camera. So last week we talked about being strong by trusting God. This week we want to talk about our next verse, which is John 3:16. And it says that God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever would believe in him would not perish, but have everlasting life. So actually this week, there were some folks at work that kind of asked me, and I'm thinking some of y'all might be thinking it. I thought it too. Like, why does God allow the coronavirus? And not just it, but other diseases. Why would he allow that? And so I guess, let me tell you a story to help me kind of explain how I see it. When I was a kid, my dad used to always tell me, hey, Matt, don't go outside without your shoes on. You can get hurt. And I was like, whatever, dude. Because I would go out, I'd ride my bike. My feet were like black on the bottom from running around the street and whatnot. So one day my friend comes over. He's like, hey, dude, let's go play like tag. So we go out there. And of course, I'm barefoot. I'm not listening to my dad. So I go out there. When my neighbor's house, they had this bed of like rocks, these like white river rock things. I don't know. But I didn't realize there was broken glass in there. The glass was clear, so I couldn't see it. Well, my friend tags me and takes off. Well, I take off after him, and I cut through that bed of rocks. It only took me about 2 steps to realize the wisdom of my Father. So I had all this glass in my feet. I fell to the ground. I'm screaming and crying and whatever. And of course, they look and my feet are bleeding. So they go and they get my dad. My dad comes and picks me up. I'm like, what's going on? Of course, he quickly figures out what's happened. So we go in and he pulls the glass out. Fortunately, I didn't have so much. I had to go to the doctor. He was able to get it all out. He cleaned my feet. You know, he helped me get them all wrapped up and bandaged. And I always wondered, like, if my dad really loved me, why didn't he buy the neighbor's house and buy all their property and buy all the property around us and make sure that it was a glass-free environment so I could never get hurt? I mean, isn't that what a loving father would do? That's kind of silly, but that's sort of when we ask God, why do we have sickness and stuff? The thing is, when God created the world, he created a beautiful, perfect paradise. We can't even imagine it because we live in a really broken, messed up world. But when he created it, it wasn't like that. But the problem was Adam and Eve decided that they knew better. God had given them some rules. Actually, he gave them one rule, but they thought, you know what? We might be able to handle this. And when they did it, it broke the rules. And it invited all of the things that we now see, one of which is coronavirus. So here in just a little bit, I've got a video that I got from God's Story, The Fall, and it's going to tell you some more of that. But I just kind of want to tell y'all that here's the thing. God never wanted us to hurt. God never wanted us to have coronavirus. But he gave us the choice, and all of us, sometimes we go, man, that stupid Adam and Eve, they messed everything up for me. Well, really, have you ever done anything wrong? Have you ever disobeyed your mom or your dad? So we're all guilty of it. But the beauty is God said, you know what? You messed up. And just like my dad, he takes us, he cleans us, he helps us and heals us, but he doesn't remove all the consequences. He leaves some of them there. And so some of those we live with until the rescuer Jesus comes. And when Jesus returns and makes all things right, then all of this will go away. So again, I'm going to point to that video and we'll check that out here in just a minute. My next challenge for this week is for you to memorize the verse, John 3:16. Now what I want you to do, I want you to go get your mom and dad's handy dandy, most fancy tape dispenser. Go find the tape that mom's like, I only have one roll of this and I shall never have any more. Go get that tape. And I want you to take it. And I want you to take your pretty face. Because we're going to talk about how pretty the world was. And then we brought sin in. And so we started to do crazy things. And we didn't listen. and we started, this isn't working very good. Guess what? So I'm trying to see if I can get it to stick. Is it working? I can't tell. Can I tell you something? There's not a mirror on the camera. So I want you to get some tape, but I want your mouth to be able to move better than mine, maybe. And I want you to make a special face just like this, only not as pretty, of course. And I want you to tell me the verse. You can either send me a video, send me a picture. Send me a picture of your mom crying because you used her best tape. Either way, I will love it. All right, we'll see you next week.
So part of God's story is about the first time people stopped trusting God. It's called the fall because it's all about how we fell away from God. It begins like this. When God was done creating a perfect world, the first two humans, Adam and Eve, got to live as a family in a beautiful place called the Garden of Eden. They explored wherever they wanted and took walks with God. And God took care of them like a loving father. The Garden of Eden was a perfect home. In fact, Adam and Eve were so free they didn't even wear clothes. God wanted everybody to be this free, with no shame or embarrassment. Imagine no death, no secrets, no fighting, no fear, no pain, no loneliness, no anger, no bullies, no sadness, no hunger, no getting left out, no crying, nothing bad, ever. This is God's dream for all of us. But part of being free means we get choices. And the first bad choice happened in the Garden of Eden. See, God gave Adam and Eve one rule. Do not eat fruit from the tree in the middle of the garden. God knew if Adam and Eve ate this fruit, they would think they knew everything good and didn't need God anymore. They would stop asking God to take care of them. And they would know about evil, which means they would hurt each other. Sickness would come. They would get old and eventually die. God didn't want any of that to happen, so he told them not to eat the fruit. Now, you might be wondering why God would even make a tree like that in the first place. Why give Adam and Eve a chance to know how to ruin the perfect world? But remember how being free means we get to make choices? God wants us to choose to obey because we love him, not because we have to. And for a while, Adam and Eve chose to trust God and obey him. After all, it was perfect in the garden. But one day, an evil serpent decided he wanted to separate Adam and Eve from God. So he came up with a plan to make Eve think God didn't love her. He said, "Does God really love you? If he does, why won't he let you eat this juicy, delicious fruit?" Eve told the serpent what God had told Adam. If they ate the fruit, they would die. The snake told Eve that God was lying. The fruit would only make her smart. Being smart sounded great. So Eve bit into the fruit. It tasted so good she gave some to Adam. He ate it too. Well, they didn't drop dead on the spot, but things started to change. First, they realized they were naked and felt embarrassed. Before eating the fruit, they only felt happy. Then they heard God coming and ran away. They had never run away from God before. God knew what happened, but he still asked Adam, "Did you eat the fruit I asked you not to eat?" Adam said, "Eve made me do it." Eve didn't like being blamed. She said, "The serpent made me do it." Really, they had both made a choice to disobey God. God was so sad they chose not to trust him. They had to move away from the beautiful garden. Worse, pain and sadness and death came into the world. It was no longer perfect. This could have been a horrible end to a really sad story. But guess what? It's not. God loved Adam and Eve, and us, so much that he planned a great rescue. Many years later, a rescuer would take the punishment for every bad choice ever made. And because of this rescue, God would one day make the world a perfect home for us again. And that's the story of the fall. So in case you missed it, here's a quick version. God made a perfect world. There was one rule. The serpent tricked Eve. He made her doubt God's love. So Eve broke the rule. Adam broke it too. All the wrong things in the world started. But that's not the end. God really did love them, and all of us. So he began a great rescue plan. And that's a part of God's story.